Greetings, Algo Artisans. Going to go through the charts today, take a look at Bitcoin, ONDO, TON, and KASPA. We're going to jump into it right now. Quick reminder that nothing we say in any of our videos, work, or website is to be used or construed as investment advice. Please consult a licensed investment advisor before risking your money on the markets because you can lose your money. It's risky. Okay, so here is the chart for Bitcoin. And this is just a quick recap of what we talked about this morning. Bitcoin moving up in this lower range, which that range appears to be forming between about 55,900 and 58,500. And prices moving up to quite possibly grab liquidity, which at the time was at about 60,800 to 61,500. Good chance price will go there. If we do see a breakout, I may take a quick trade as you see on the screen with this long. In the meantime, let's go ahead and move on to some alts we have not yet talked about today. We'll start with ONDO. So on the daily chart here, ONDO, compared to a lot of alts, has shown a lot of strength due to their ostensible connection with BlackRock. Now, there are always these talks about partnerships and collaborations, and ONDO has seen a lot of action, and when other alts were failing, ONDO was moving up. In particular, through May and June, we saw this move up from 72 cents all the way up to $1.50. Price has retraced back to 93 cents. Now, we could look at this as an upward trend, and in fact, it is in an uptrend, but there's one bit of concerning price action that I'm seeing. Talk about that in just a moment. So here is our uptrend on a higher time frame, higher highs, higher lows, and we have a top out here at $1.48. Now, price has gone back down. However, if price does not go below this low, which is at 72 cents, then price technically will be in an uptrend as long as that is the case. So let's go ahead and talk about where price might go, provided that this uptrend stays as an uptrend. I'm going to go ahead and do a Fibonacci extension because this will put price into price discovery. If this peak is broken, if this $1.48 all-time high is broken, then we won't have any historical data on which we can rely for price action, so we must go ahead and use Fibonacci numbers. There are other tools. These are the tools I like to use. And my upside targets, should price break above the all-time high, are going to be about $1.70 and $1.97. And $1.97 is great because it's right below that $2 psychological number, right? So that's a very good thing. Now, of course, if price breaks below $1.48, then we're going to see the end of this uptrend. It'll be violated, and we'll have to think a little bit differently about what's going on. However, I don't like the shape of this move down. As you can see, it's almost kind of a quarter circle, a circular move, right? It's like a half of a parabola, and that can be very unhealthy for price when that happens. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be unhealthy for price, but what I do notice as well is right here, I'm going to zoom in, and you'll see a very strong wick where price tried to rally up and it got rejected. And that's this big long wick right here, right there. And that's a concern because price tried to break its all-time high, got roundly rejected. Very, very bearish candle with this tall wick on the top, and then price going down ever since. So it might be the price does violate that move, that trend down. Now, I do have algorithmic clues that tell me if ONDO will continue up or not. For the moment, I am not seeing that ONDO is ready to move up. And the fact that ONDO is at a support very close to the bottom of this prior low truly will say 68.9 cents. That's going to be the must bounce. And price does seem to be hanging out right above this liquidity zone where price did move back and forth for some time. And it may be that this asset gathers liquidity and is able to move back up, but if price does break below this, that's when we might see a move back down as low as 38 cents, aka Hades. Now, I don't think this will happen, but this is an altcoin and this is a post-Bitcoin pullback, and the longer that lasts, the more likely people are going to take profits on this to reposition themselves elsewhere. So we do have to watch out for this to happen. In the meantime, price has remained above here, and as long as price stays above this 68.8 cents, I can take a look at the algos and have an idea of whether or not I think it's going to bounce. So let's move on and talk about TON, one of my favorite coins. And TON remains strong. As a matter of fact, you can see I've already charted this out using liquidity zones and these rectangles, and we're in another uptrend here. And that being the case, I went ahead and mapped out some upside targets here based on a prior move up. Now, at this point, these may no longer be valid just because price is stagnating. So as I reevaluate this, I'm going to take a look at the range this seems to be creating right now. And the move up into this range on a higher time frame, even even though it's a complex move, it's not a pure impulse. On a higher time frame, this will look like an impulse. I'd say this is pretty safe right here, because if we go ahead and apply a Fibonacci extension and retracement tool at the same time, we'll find out the price did go down, strike the 382, or 382 pullback in a very bullish asset. And as long as things remain bullish, then the upside targets I'm about to mark, which may be the same ones as I had before, but it's just a fresh chart, I want to make sure I've got them properly, would be $9.24 and $10.50 roughly. However, I do want to make sure that price does not dive down back towards this low of about $4.60. So the algos, again, will be able to give me clues as to whether or not this is ready to head up. And on the weekly, I'm betting it's either flat or bearish. I would say slightly bearish on the weekly, but it could flip bullish at any time. So I would say I'm flat on this. I think it's got a potential to go either way, either up or down. And the way it breaks out of this consolidation is going to tell us. If price breaks above $8.11 and stays above that for, say, 3 or 4 days, or if it breaks below $6.83 and stays below there for a few days, then I'm going to think that this is the direction of the breakout. Whichever side it breaks and stays above for 3 to 4 days, that's a decent indication that price is going that direction. And I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50. This is such a strong coin, even in this bearish kind of moment in the market. So I'm okay with saying 50-50 on that. Let's go ahead and take a look at Kaspa. Kaspa, great coin, very strong. A lot of people like this. Ghost DAG, proof of work, but with multiple transactions per block, right? This is kind of solving a lot of the issues that proof of work has. And apparently it moved over to ASIC miners last year, and the price just exploded massively, times 10, more than that. Now, what's happened here is on a higher time frame, I can pull this back and it looks like a range is developing. So again, we have a scenario where there's a higher time frame range and a range within a range, because price does appear to be developing another range right here. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in the same category, where if price breaks below 14 cents and stays below there for a few days, or if it breaks above 19.2 cents and stays above there for 3 to 4 days, that's probably the direction it's going to take. Now, the must bounce for this is going to be the bottom of this larger rectangle, and that's going to be at about 9.3 cents. And I think it'll stay above that. This coin has been very strong, and it does seem to be climbing and climbing and climbing on an uptrend. But the attempt to break this prior high going back to early February, that has been rejected. However, price has stayed above this most recent structure after that February high. So I think price is probably going to consolidate in this higher rectangle and head up. And what would be the targets for that? I'm going to use this most recent impulse and attach Fibonacci targets to it. And I would have some near-term targets if the breakout happens at about 21.8 cents and 25 cents or so. And again, this is probably going to be greatly dependent on how Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin breaks out, these will probably break out to the upside. If Bitcoin continues to be bearish, they'll probably break to the downside. And if Bitcoin is able to stay in the 50 or even the 60K range, these will probably continue up. And I think that Bitcoin will probably break out towards the end of the summer or the beginning of the fall. We'll see how that goes. I hope this video was helpful. Please come over to algofactory.tech. We teach people how to build their own trading method, otherwise known as an algorithm. You don't have to know how to code, but if you do code, we can put you on the path to where you can build something that trades for you while you're not at the computer. If you just want to trade manually, which is what most people are doing, then that is, of course, something that we can help you do and help you have the capability to possibly extract money out of these markets on a regular basis. And while we do focus on crypto for a lot of these videos, I'm actually primarily a Forex trader, and you got to know that crypto doesn't go forever. It goes for about a year and a half, and then for a couple of years, there's not much going on in crypto. And if you want to be a trader, you're going to want to understand how to really trade, how to put on those big boy pants, because what's going to happen is eventually crypto's going to flatten out, and the meme coins aren't going to be what they used to be, most likely. I've seen it enough times. I've been in this game since 2017. I don't expect that to change. So come on over, learn how to trade. As a matter of fact, we got some pretty happy customers who are already down the path of success in their algo building. Let's hear from one of those right now.
This is ThinkFree's Algo Factory testimonial. I began my prescription for Algo Factory the summer of 2023. I am now 70 years old, and I have set a goal to have a supplementary income by learning to trade. I have been putting in about 3 to 4 hours per week of study time. In spite of this small time of commitment, I am determined to learn to trade. I set a goal of slow, steady progress in my learning. It is now March of 2024, and I have been delighted that through the articulate speech and hands-on help and support from Cowboy, I have developed an algo that looks very promising. I've come to appreciate Cowboy's remarkable ability to communicate and teach. He's not just knowledgeable, but also very creative in his shoot-from-the-hips approach. I wonder, is that where the name Cowboy came from? I have followed the Algo Cowboy and V the Guerrilla Economist for more than 3 years and have found them to be very respectful, caring, and firmly rooted in reality. By that I mean they have a clear, deep, no-nonsense understanding of the world we live in, not just in trading and economics, but geopolitically and, dare I say, spiritually as well. For me, this fact makes working with them all the more gratifying and secure. This has and continues to be a great investment of my time and money. Also ends up being fun with the humor that is shared amongst our Algo Factory group members. Thank you, Cowboy.
Don't forget, algofactory.tech. Trade your job, upgrade your life. We'll see you on the next one.